Okay, let me set the scene for you. It's 2 in the morning, you're a medical student, just surrounded by a mountain of textbooks and flashcards. The subject tonight isn't what you'd think. Not surgery, not pharmacology. No, it's a hidden world of creatures that live inside us. A world you have to master for one of the biggest exams of your life. For these students, learning about parasitic worms, or helminths, isn't just studying. It's more like entering a gauntlet. A really grueling trial by fire, where every single detail, every bizarre life cycle, and every Latin name has to be burned into your memory, because failure isn't really an option when actual lives are on the line.
So why are the stakes so incredibly high? Well, just look at this number. 1.2 billion. That's the estimated number of people right now infected with just one single type of parasitic roundworm. This isn't just some abstract knowledge from a textbook. We're talking about a global health crisis.
All right, let's dive into this. This is what it looks like from the student's desk. It's basically a bestiary, a real-life monster manual of nematodes. You've got the creature's name, how it infects you, the disease it causes, and the specific drug you need to kill it. Every single row is another enemy to memorize, another potential question on a career-defining exam.
The real challenge here isn't just learning the biology. It's boiling it all down into what they call high-yield facts, those core nuggets of information that are most likely to show up on the test. So, for the next few minutes, we're going to step into their shoes and profile 2 of the biggest boss monsters in this whole gauntlet.
First up is the giant roundworm, Ascaris lumbricoides. This thing is one of the most common human parasites on the entire planet and a total classic villain in any parasitology course. If you're a med student, you have to know this one inside and out. Literally.
And this slide right here brilliantly illustrates why it gets the name giant. A female can grow up to 49 centimeters. That is nearly half a meter long. That's about the length of your forearm. This is not microscopic. Imagine having to learn about something that big living inside a person's intestine. It's a fact that's both kind of horrifying and, honestly, unforgettable.
And its journey through the body? It is truly bizarre. A life cycle every single student has to memorize. So it starts in the intestine, right? But it doesn't stay there. The larvae go on this grand tour through the bloodstream, into the heart, then up to the lungs. From there, they actually get coughed up into your throat and then swallowed again, only then returning to the intestine to grow into adults. It's an incredible, almost unbelievable migration you have to know cold.
So the whole point for the student is understanding how this journey causes disease. The abdominal problems, the obstructions, that happens when these massive adult worms literally clog up the intestines. But that cough and fever, that's from the larvae migrating through the lungs. You have to connect each step of that crazy journey to a specific symptom a patient might have.
All right, let's move on to our second boss, the pinworm, Enterobius vermicularis. Now, this creature is way smaller than Ascaris, but it has an entirely different and very, very effective strategy for survival. And here's the key exam fact. Humans are its only natural host. So unlike a lot of other parasites, it doesn't need some other animal like a snail or a pig to complete its life cycle. Nope, it's completely specialized for us, which has some pretty big implications for how it spreads.
And this is its secret weapon, autoinfection. The pinworm's life cycle is this deviously simple loop where the host just infects themselves over and over again. Understanding this one term is absolutely critical for any student because it explains exactly why pinworm is so common, especially with kids, and why it can be so tough to get rid of in a household.
The pinworm's signature attack isn't causing internal damage. It's this intense itching around the anus, usually at night. And this is not random. It is a calculated part of its strategy. The female worm migrates there at night specifically to lay thousands of eggs. The itch makes the person, often a kid, scratch, getting eggs on their fingers and under their nails, which, of course, completes that cycle of autoinfection. Clever, right?
So, we've profiled our monsters. But for that medical student, this isn't just some fascinating biology lesson. All this complex information has to be recalled perfectly under the immense pressure of a standardized board exam.
And this breakdown of the exam really reveals how high the stakes are. Just look at that. Parasitology makes up a massive 30% of the total score. That is a huge chunk, second only to bacteriology. So students just can't afford to ignore this section. It's a real heavyweight. And if we drill down even further, you can see that nematodes, the very group that includes Ascaris and the pinworm, are worth 8 items. That's tied for the most valuable topic in all of parasitology.
Every single one of those bizarre life cycles and Latin names translates directly into points. So yeah, mastering these bosses is absolutely critical for passing.
But what happens after all those late nights and all that endless memorization? What's the reality of the exam experience itself? Well, let's hear from some students who have actually been through the gauntlet.
And this is just the voice of profound frustration. One Reddit user spent days mastering this entire world of worms, only to find that on their specific version of the test, none of it even showed up. 0 questions. Can you imagine? It can feel like all that work was for nothing.
But then, in the very same discussion, you see this, a completely different experience. For this student, those days of study were absolutely essential. 5 questions on nematodes, that could easily be the difference between a pass and a fail.
It just highlights the brutal reality of the exam, right? All that preparation, all that effort can feel like it all comes down to a simple roll of the dice. You just don't know which test you're going to get. So why put every student through this? Why does it all matter?
Well, it's because it all comes back to that first number we saw, 1 billion people at risk. When a patient shows up with a strange cough or some unexplained abdominal pain, their doctor can't just hope it wasn't on their version of the test. They have to be ready for any monster that comes through that door. The gauntlet is a trial, for sure, but it's forging a weapon for all of us. The question that remains is there a better way to do it?